So something I want you to go back and do in your organisations is looking at what are the digital principles that you want to bring in, that we can talk, and I know the session later around particular platforms or particular kind of products and projects you can do, but actually if you get the approach right, then all of that flows from that. So this is one that kind of I'm using my current organisation. So our principles are this nice acrostic that we're going to be digital. So we're going to be dynamic. So we're going to adapt to trends and forward thinking. We're going to be innovative and push the boundaries and think, how can we do things in a different way? But we're also going to be very goal orientated and not take our eyes off the prize and get distracted. And I think it's crucial when you're looking at digital to be insight led. And that doesn't mean that you need a whole digital team or a whole insight team or agency. It just means, okay, what insights can we glean from the data we're currently collecting? And I think it's really important that digital should be a collaborative process. It should be thinking across your entire organisation, how can you use digital? And how can you do that think big piece and be really, really ambitious about what you want to achieve as a small charity? That we're not talking about kind of 5% growth, 10% growth. We're thinking, right, how can digital completely transform our fundraising? How can we double all of our fundraising? And have a constant test and learn approach. And I think that's so crucial when we're looking at digital, to really think that we don't need the finished product. It's how can we constantly build on that. So what does your roadmap look like? Like I said, it'll look very different for each organisation. So I'm going to talk a bit about kind of what are the goals for your organisation, where you're starting from, deciding what are the key channels you are going to utilise. And it doesn't have to be every channel. In fact, it really shouldn't be. And looking at what are the trends and opportunities that your charity could take advantage of. And what are the key enablers and barriers? That digital fundraising doesn't work in isolation. It needs to be really kind of brought in across the organisation. And people and culture are key. That digital's all about people. So how can we build that into our roadmap? So then it's really important to have a multi-channel approach. That there's 1,000,001 different online channels that you could be at. So I think what I can't stress enough is that you don't have to be across everything. It's much better to do 1 or 2 channels really, really well and not be on the rest and try and spread yourself too thin. And I think every charity, regardless of size, always has a resource issue. There's never enough money, there's never enough time, there's never enough people. So where do you want to focus your time? So it's thinking about social media and focus on 1 or 2. In most cases, that's likely going to be Facebook and making sure you've set up all your Facebook donate tools. But depending on the nature of your charity, that might also be Instagram or Twitter. It depends, do you want to reach out to policymakers or is it more about supporters? And for online giving, I think everybody's very aware at the minute there's been some changes in that landscape recently with Virgin Money. And I know Charity Digital did a recent podcast around that, which I'd urge you to listen to. And I think it's just being across 1 or 2 of the big online giving platforms and really giving people the opportunity to donate. But remembering that that's often just around the mechanism of donation rather than prompting people to donate. You still need to do all of that storytelling approach. So kind of when we're looking at all of this, then it's, well, what do you actually need to prioritise? Because there's an awful lot of things I've just gone through of all the different channels, everything we could potentially be doing, but you can't do everything at once and you shouldn't do everything at once, and that's completely okay. So like I was saying, when you're looking at your roadmap, it's thinking about what can I do this month, then what can I build upon next month and the month after. So I think it's about thinking what are your overall aims, not platform or product first. So a lot of people will say, oh, this is a really cool platform, we should be doing this, or this is a new channel we should be doing. But actually thinking, what are your aims? And it's perfectly okay to say, actually, that channel doesn't meet our aims, or it does, but we don't have the capacity, so we're going to focus on this, and not get distracted by shiny new toys. So what are the kind of key enablers and barriers? Like, what sort of foundations do we need for this roadmap? So I think it is thinking about that technology. It's about what do we have in place and what could we get in place? Recognizing that we might not have budgets for a lot of this. So what are the basic technologies we need in place to enable us to do this? And although we're talking about digital fundraising, some of that might actually be, okay, we need a database in order to do this. Let's have our investment in that. And data and measurement is so key. And that might be a really basic sort of measurement in your roadmap, just saying, okay, this is where we're at now. This is where we want to get to. What are the key things we want to measure? Because there's so many things we could measure. What are the key things for our organisation that we think are the real markers of success, or the real trends that are showing us what people are reacting with? And start small, whether it's doing one thing per quarter, per month, per week to actually build on it. And then you can all come back in a year's time and tell me what difference you've made. That I work with a lot of small charities kind of doing this, that it seems overwhelming at the start. There's so much to do, but actually if we're just doing little steps, then in a year's time, you kind of be amazed at how far you've come with that.